Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Hard Talk Radio, your host, MrDeadman. And joining us tonight is the horror author, Iseult Murphy. Did I say your name right? I'm horrible with names. Iseult,
that
right?
Sounds good.
Right?
That's right, yeah.
And lovely voice, by the way. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
I know it's like, 3 o'clock in the morning over there?
It is, yeah. The devil's hour, isn't it?
The devil's hour? You're most certainly right. Man, I used to work at a call center where you have to wake up at like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. I used to do that for years straight. Let me tell you something, Miss Murphy. I wanted to kill myself doing that shift. And I'm not even joking. I might be, I don't know.
I only have to do it for one night, so that's not too bad.
Okay, so tonight we want to talk about your book, 7 Weeks in Hell. Are we talking about like the later, last 3 months of pregnancy? Is that what we're talking about? Because that's pretty bad. I'm not speaking obviously from a woman's perspective. I'm talking like, oh my God, the things I had to go to the store for, the things I had to do to keep her happy. You know what I'm saying?
It's a different kind of hell. But, you know, that's perhaps a different level of hell you're talking about there than what I have in my book. But yeah, definitely a type of hell.
Definitely type of hell. Okay. Mm-hmm. So waiting in line at the DMV, is that also a type of or level?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that might be an earlier level of hell.
Earlier level. You know what? We don't have to worry about that anymore because of COVID over here in the States. I have not had my car registered this whole year. I haven't had it renewed because I can't. It's all shut down still. So anyway, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, Miss Murphy. I'm so sorry. I always start off with one question. Who are you and what do you do? Let's go from there.
All right. Well, I'm Iseult Murphy, and I am a fantasy, horror, and science fiction author. And I have released 2 books in the Seventh Hell series. So there's 7 Days in Hell, and the sequel, 7 Weeks in Hell. And as you may guess, coming next will be 7 Months in Hell. So.
Oh my God, it's just getting longer. It needs to be 7 years in hell.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
But there's also going to be a prequel, which will be 7 Seconds in Hell. So there is hope.
Wait, is there 7 minutes of hell too?
There is, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 7 minutes, 7 seconds. Okay, then 7 nanoseconds.
Oh. I'm not going to go quite that far.
It could be like a, what do you call it? Like a flash fiction story or a dribble or whatever.
A drabble, yeah.
A drabble. Yeah. A drabble.
Yeah.
That's like what, a sentence?
It's about 100 words. Yeah. Could do that. Go to a haiku.
A haiku?
Yeah. I think I might stop with that on centuries as well. I don't think I'll go into 7 centuries.
Oh, no, that would be tough. That would be really tough. I don't know how you would do that. Okay.
It's a long book.
Right? So how did you get started? Like early childhood or what happened?
Oh, in writing? Well, I'm the youngest of 10. So I grew up in a family where reading and writing was, a big thing. So I know I was dictating stories before I could actually read or write. And I'd fill out pages. I'd look at books, and I'd fill out pages with, blocks of. I mean, it was nonsense, but it looked like text.
Mm-hmm.
So I started writing very, very young.
Okay.
I completed my first novel when I was 12. I looking back now, I'm mad at myself because I was like, why didn't I send it to somebody?
Right.
But I didn't actually start pursuing publication until I was in my 20s, and I got some short stories published, and then self-publishing is so easy these days, and it just with the circumstance I hadn't planned on pursuing self-publishing, but the circumstances, kind of the stars aligned. I don't know.
Right.
What happened, but everything came together.
Miss Murphy, with your accent, I could just let you talk. No, I'm not saying. I'm not. Don't take me the wrong way. I'm not saying you're rambling at all. Not at all. I'm just saying your accent's so great. We could just have a show where you talk about whatever. Honestly.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you.
Thank you. But no, so you started writing. You started, putting out stories when you're in your 20s. And I like what you said about self-publishing, because now, are you strictly self-published, or do you have some content or some stories out there through a publisher?
I have published short stories with different magazines and publishers online. But I started 2 years ago. I did a course that was about building kind of a network of writers to support yourself, but also to help find readers for when you do get published. Because one of the things that a lot of people get very disheartened about when they get published is that nobody actually buys the books.
Mm-hmm.
So this was to find a way that wherever you were in your publishing journey, that you would have other writers who would help you find readers.
Right.
So part of that course was you finished with publishing something yourself. And I didn't really want to publish short stories, but I had a selection of horror short stories that had been previously published, and I had the copyright back from them. So I thought, well, why don't I put them together and make an anthology or a collection?
Right.
So that's my first little booklet, The Zoo of the Dead and Other Horrific Tales. So I put that together, and I thought, I kind of like the control over this. So,
that's good. Yeah, you get a lot of control when you do it on your own. Of course, I mean, you have complete control.
Yeah.
So your first,
I have.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so your first self-published book was a collection of short stories of your own. And this is your first published work entirely, like where the short stories were published before in other anthologies, I guess, but you got the rights back to reuse them. Okay, so all right, this is like your debut, I guess, book, if you will. It was a collection of short stories, and now I like how you talked about the experience of that, how you had control. Now, how did it? What was the feedback? I mean, did you get any reaction from it?
Well, to be totally honest, it was published around June in 2018 and didn't sell a copy until I joined Twitter in January in 2019. Because nobody saw it. I had a website. I didn't post very regularly on the website, so I had very few people knew I existed. And Amazon is, and any of the, not just Amazon, any of the book selling, now it is in paperback as well, but it's ebook mainly. But any of those sites, there's so many, like there's millions and millions of people with books. So it wasn't that nobody, people saw it and said, I don't want to buy it. It was like nobody knew it existed.
Right. And that's the thing. A lot of these books, a lot of people have books out there and no one knows about it because they don't put it out there, and they think, oh, it's on Amazon, it's on my website. But also, guess what? Hardly anyone goes to people's websites anymore. Well,
exactly. But there's so many as well. How do you find that website?
See, that's old school internet stuff too. You used to go to websites. Now people just go to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, maybe some other social network. They rarely how many websites do you actually go to? Does anyone actually go to? It's.
Well, I agree with you. I think that is, and particularly with blogging, that used to be a big thing. And I do follow blogs still, but it's not. I don't think it's as big as it once was. I think.
No, not even. That is a fair assessment. Don't hesitate to say that. It is not big at all anymore.
No, I wouldn't think so. And even things like Twitter, I think a lot of people are moving on to Instagram and other places like that. Oh, yeah. So for me, Twitter has been amazing for publicizing my books. But I think even that is kind of progressing for a lot of people onto other places.
Yeah, Twitter's sort of, they kind of have a sort of purge mentality. I'm not going to call any names, say anything, but there's people that are just too busy being content police and making it like really difficult to be there and have fun and just chill out, you know? So people were just going to different platforms. You know?
Yeah, and it makes sense.
And that's what's going to happen. So like, but I like what he said. It puts it in perspective. So your book was out there in 2018, but you sold a copy in 2019 when you finally joined Twitter. Because social media is self-publishing, that's what helps. If those listening to this, if you want to go self-publishing, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The stigma is not there anymore that where it used to be. It's just know that you have to do the marketing yourself, and you have to get the word out.
That's it, exactly. And I think that is the hardest part. But even, you know, with traditional publishing, you do have to do marketing as well. Particularly if it's a smaller press, you do have to do a lot of marketing. So you can't escape it.
Right.
But Twitter has been amazing for me because I found the writing community is really welcoming. I found lots of books myself, you know, from other indie authors that, you know, some of them are my new favorite authors. I have found cover artists for my books who are amazing.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I've sold loads of books. So that's...
Yeah, the horror writing community is pretty small, pretty tight. For the most part, pretty good. I don't have, you know, it's a... You'll definitely find people who are willing to help you. Now,
I find very supportive people on Twitter. I know, you know, I've seen other people have struggled with it, but I've been very fortunate, and I've really found it very useful, very helpful.
Well,
and
Miss Murphy, all you have to do is really talk in their ear, and they'll be willing to do whatever. I mean, that accent.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you.
Now, why horror? Of all genres, I mean, you could be making all sorts of money writing romance, especially other kind of romance, you know. But you're writing horror, and you have to. I think if there's one genre where you have to like to do the most work in, I think it's that.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's in my blood. I don't know why. I remember I must have been. I was probably about 2 years old, maybe 18 months, and. Do you know the old Vincent Price Waxworks movie? He like had this Waxworks museum. And
I saw that I rewatched it this year for a review. The House of Wax, right? That one?
That's it, yeah, that one.
Not the Paris Hilton one in the 90s or whatever. No.
Yeah, like the original Vincent Price, and it's all a bit creaky and everything. My father said you have to go to bed. I would not leave. I have to watch the end of that movie. I thought it was amazing, and that really started me on my love of horror. I was a kind of a morbid child. I loved watching. We had feral cats in the garden. I loved watching them catch mice and kill them, and I draw pictures of them with blood pouring out of their mouths. And just to me, it was a wonderful way of exploring life, because, you know, there's scary things in life, and even things that other people, you know, they kind of go, oh, that's nothing, why are you scared of that? And to me it would be something big, so then I could write about that in a story where,
right,
you know, the fear of the shadow at the end of the corridor, there's a creature lurking there, you know.
That's right.
And that's
the fear of the shadow.
That's always drawn me.
The fear of the shadow. No, well, you said something. I don't know if I caught this. Did you say that you used to draw cats with pools of blood coming out of their mouth?
I did, yeah.
All right, I heard that. Okay, just wanted to clarify. At what age?
Probably around 4.
Wow, that is pretty hard. When you say horror is in your veins, you are not joking. You are not joking. No. You might. Are you related to like Bram Stoker?
No, but my mother used to tell me he wrote his stories when he was in bed, and I thought that sounded wonderful because I was sick a lot as a child, and I thought the ability to write your stories when you're in bed and then you get published, I thought that sounded amazing.
Well, yeah, you got plenty of time. You know, what else are you going to do?
Yeah. And it's much easier now as well with laptops and iPads and everything.
What do you think about that? It's like all these people who say, I want to write a book, I want to write a story, I want to write a book. Things are easier now than ever. And if you're still stuck in that, I want to write, and you're still in the idea phase, you really have no excuse. It's like, dude, like you could literally write on the go on your phone, like using Google Docs. Like,
yeah. I know there's no, I think I was looking at something, I was looking at Twitch the other day and somebody was saying, how do you find the time to read or something like that? And I thought, you don't find the time for reading, you make the time for reading. And it's the same with writing or with anything that you want to do. You know, it's time you set aside. It's, you know, it's not going to be, there's never going to be time lying around where you go, oh, I can write a novel. You have to make that time. You have to set that aside, that 5 minutes or that 10 minutes or whatever. You know, you're sitting waiting for an appointment. You take out your phone and you make notes. Even if you're just standing in a commute and you can't write, you can be thinking. I think it was Heinlein, or one of those science fiction writers. He worked as a welder during the day, and he would plan out his stories word by word. And then when he got home in the evening, he could just type it out immediately because he had gone through the story word by word. And everybody, we can all do that. We all have time where we don't have anything else to think about.
Right. We all have a lot of time. A lot of us waste our time with like Netflix, video games, or porn.
Yeah.
That's not, you know, that might not be you, Miss Murphy. I might be talking to the guys out there. But, you know, they waste their time on stuff. TikTok, that's time that could be spent writing or reading or doing something else. Yeah. Man. You know, so stop watching girls twerk. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Miss Murphy.
It's your mind is going down a certain path now.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, instead of watching Tiger King and stuff, you know what I'm saying. You could set the time by. It's priority. It's priority. If you're still stuck in the idea phase, then obviously the priority is just not there. You're just distracted by everything else.
Well, I used to, when I could leave my house in the days before COVID, I used to do sketching. You know, out in the countryside, and people would always pass and they'd say, you know, I was really good at art when I was in primary school. I could do that. And I think it's the same with reading. You know, sometimes I'd be sitting waiting somewhere and I'd be reading a book and people would say, oh, I read a book once. And I think you could do it, but are you? Right.
You could, but you're not. You're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what separates people. There's creative minds that are really creative, and they're actually doing something. They have the energy behind it. There's people who just, I don't know. They think it's very easy. They want to emulate it or something, and they just don't have the passion for it. Now, let's talk a little bit about 7 Weeks in Hell.
Yes. So it is the sequel to 7 Days in Hell.
Okay.
7 Days in Hell stars twin sisters, Vicky and Irene, who go down to a little village, a little quiet rural village for Halloween vacation in Southern Ireland.
Oh, nice.
Sounds lovely. Sounds really nice. But the people are a bit odd, and they hear screams across the fields at night, and then they realise something very, very wrong is going on there. So 7 Weeks in Hell takes place 18 months later, where, well, the twins, let's say, they have not escaped unscathed from their experience. And funnily enough, the zombies that they met in rural Ireland have followed them to Galway City, where they are living now. So, as you can tell from the title, 7 days takes place over 7 days of their vacation. So it's kind of a chapter a day. And then 7 weeks is 7 weeks in their life in Galway City, and things going a bit...
Okay.
What would you say? Badly, yeah.
Going badly.
Zombie shaped, yeah.
Okay. Now, my first question about this really, it is important. I mean, this is set the tone because I'm sure some people listening right now, and maybe later on, will be like, zombies. I mean, zombies have been done a lot, but, the joke is done to death. Not, it's, I get that, with The Walking Dead, there's all sorts of zombie content out there. What makes 7 Weeks in Hell? What makes it different? Well, like, what gives it that, originality? That the reason why, what makes it stand out?
Well, there's two things. And one I was saying to you earlier, I suppose Romero's Living Dead, especially the original trilogy, always stood out for me because of the social commentary that he had with the zombies. Yeah, they're great horror movies, but they are about more than just zombies eating people. So I do try to have some social commentary using zombies in my book. And the other thing that makes it stand out is that these zombies, while they can turn into flesh-eating maniacs, most of the time they are being controlled. So they're being controlled
by the globalists, like the Illuminati, lizard people.
Well, it starts off with one person, and in the second book there's two people. So, and there's hints at a bigger global. I don't want to say conspiracy, but zombie master.
Ah, a zombie puppet master. Okay.
Zombie
Jeff
puppet
Bezos,
master,
that's who it is.
exactly.
Jeff Bezos.
I don't name any names, but yeah, I mean, I think that you've hit it on the nail on the head there. That it is about consumerism and other things in our world that is trying to turn people into zombies and control them, and that this is actually literally they are zombies.
That is interesting. Controlled. So yeah, see, that's important. See, a zombie story, a zombie novel, a zombie TV show, movie, whatever, it can't really just be about the zombies, because it's like, okay, that we're kind of bored with. We've seen that a lot, too much. But if you have it where it's beyond that, it's more about the story itself. It's more about the characters, more about let's say the social commentary, or the in this case, it sounds like the big picture, deeper narrative about what our survivors are going through, and how this, I guess, these zombies, how they really what they mean, I guess, because is it a virus? Like, are we talking about like a virus where it's transmitted by bite, or is it like, what is it?
Well, it's a satanic ritual.
So okay.
So these are, I suppose, the central theme really is there are people who have gained arcane powers, which have allowed them to turn people into zombies and control them, so that they can, gain material power and success. And the main struggle for the characters is, do you side with these? Life is hard. So do you try to cheat and get, help by either submitting yourself to become a zombie or by being one of their non-zombified followers? Or do you keep your individual strengths but also have to struggle and resist them? So that is in both of the books. That though the stakes are raised in the second book, that is kind of the central theme.
So being a zombie in this story, not just in this book, but I guess in the series, is much deeper than just being crazy and eating flesh.
Yeah, well, when the body, if the person, the puppet master, if they lose control of the body, then it seeks flesh to feel connection to people again.
Okay.
But when they are controlled, they are happy. They have their purpose. They are part of a hive, they go around furthering the
cause or whatever.
exactly
Like spreading their influence and doing the bidding for their zombie master, the puppet master.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
This sounds cool. Like, it sounds like the zombies are like just crazy mindless slaves that become flesh eaters when they lose their master.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
And the master would be the, like, I guess the top, like, business owner or top 1%, and the slave would be like all the underlings.
Yeah.
All right. I can see that. So it is Jeff Bezos. I was right, man. He is the puppet master. It's him. It's not Elon Musk. He would be trying to stop it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. You give me an idea.
Well,
I can't name any names. I can only suggest things.
Maybe he could try to stop it, but he's too busy smoking marijuana with Joe Rogan to freaking stop it, or shooting or blasting his Teslas into space. He's like, I could make better flamethrowers to kill these zombies, but what I'm going to do instead is throw more Teslas into space.
Yeah, I think he'd have really good designs, though. I mean, he may not actually build the prototype, but I think he would have a really good design on a napkin or something.
Maybe not the Tesla truck or the Cybertruck, but that window did not hold him very well.
We can't all bat 100 or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right, so that's what makes this storyline stand out compared to all the other zombie stories, which that's a good strength to have. Now, what were the challenges and obstacles when writing 7 Weeks in Hell?
Well, one of them was, you've 7 weeks to fill, so you have to ramp up the tension and the action. You can't kind of have in 1 week they just, paid their bills and balanced their accounts and did their laundry. They can't really do that.
Right.
I also, because I have this bigger story, I wanted to bring in hints of that to make it interesting for, the books that are following, but without giving too much away.
Okay.
And then I also, which is probably the most crazy idea, I'd originally planned it as a play. I used to do a lot of amateur dramatics, and I had this idea that I would write a play, and I thought I'd do a zombie play.
A zombie play?
A zombie play, yeah. But the whole thing would only take place in a room with people. The characters would look out the window and they'd see, they'd hear the zombies. You have some zombies in the audience.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Out the window, yeah.
I'd probably go to that play. You can make it a musical and there'd be like zombies in the audience.
Yeah. I know, it'd be really cool. But at the end, see, the zombie master comes in and he gives ultimatum. And then the audience gets to decide what the characters choose. So I thought that'd be really cool. And then, it would mean every time the play was performed, they would have a different ending. You get a bit of improv.
Oh, see, that would be really, okay. See, it's been forever since I've seen a play or a musical, but it'd be really great if they could, I don't know if they do this, where they design one that's like based on audience feedback, like give them the option to let a character live or die. That way, because that's perfect for like a zombie storyline, because you're always going to have that scenario where someone's been bit and they try to like hide it. It's like, oh, what do we do? Do we kill them or do we keep them? Be like, keep them. I want to see what happens.
Exactly. I think that would be really, really fun. Right. Live theatre, that you have a bit of control and say, oh, let's see. Mm-hmm. So when I decided to turn it into a novel, well, obviously a lot of things I had to, I put in the things that were happening outside the window because it's just boring to read about things happening in one room. But I decided to have a choose your own adventure type of ending to keep that. So,
oh wow!
I hope it works out. Some feedback has been good. Some people, it seems to polarize people into liking it, loving it or hating it. So you get to decide which ending you want
Oh, that's
for the
cool.
characters.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Choose your own adventure, kind of like at the end. I remember reading those as a kid. I would I would I would look for all the pages that were the dead ends and avoid them.
Yeah.
I'd go in advance and like.
But you had to do that. It was
Yeah.
awful. You get so far, and then your eyes would dribble out of your head, and
Yeah, you're like, what? I'm halfway through this book and I made one decision and dead. Really? That's it? Come on, man. Come on. So that's interesting. Just start off as a play thing, as a play musical. I say musical, but I don't think there was a musical score. But okay, start off as a play, but went from that to a book. Was that difficult? I mean, did you? Yeah, were there any challenges with that?
Well, it actually was great because I could expand on the cast of characters.
Yeah.
To a huge degree. So when I was writing it, when I thought of it as a play, I was thinking of the people, in my group who I knew. So, I was very restricted. But when you're writing it as a book, you can put in everybody. Like, it's great. And special effects, I don't have to worry about, can we afford this? Is this possible?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There is no budget. Like, you could just do whatever you want, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. So it was great that way. But I had to, I did have to think of the other characters, and in what happened, there's a character, a vet, like a veterinary surgeon, and like his family come into it and things like that. So they would never have been in the play. So
right.
That was interesting, developing them and how they worked out in the story.
Now, for those that are on the fence of getting 7 Weeks in Hell, let's say they're kind of convinced, but maybe they need a little push. Like, what would you say to them? What would be your like elevator pitch to them?
A very Irish horror story with a bit of mental illness and a good versus evil scenario. That would be
okay.
It's not a great elevator pitch, I agree.
Very Irish horror story, with which I mean, the Irish know horror. They know how to do horror. They do it very well.
Yeah.
A little bit of mental illness, which that we haven't even really touched on yet here. How does the mental illness play into 7 Weeks in Hell?
Well, after the experiences of 7 Days in Hell, the twins, they are scarred, let's just say, by their experiences. So one of them has become agoraphobic, and she hallucinates as well. And that plays into her. She doesn't know when the zombies start appearing again. She doesn't know, are they really there? Is she having flashbacks? Who can she trust? So it makes her more vulnerable.
Gotcha. Okay.
Imagine you're locked in your room. You can't leave your apartment because you're so terrified of what's going on outside. But at the same time, there's horrible things going on outside, and
right.
You might want to get away from that. So.
Right. Might have some like PTSD. Sort of shaken up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that could definitely be a factor there. I got a good question here from Scarfy and the Strange. Now, what about it? What about this book makes it Irish? Now, obviously, I can hear your voice, and I know that you are Irish, and it takes place in Ireland. But is there a certain tone or theme that something that really makes it Irish? Yeah, just go with that.
Well, as you say, I am Irish, and it is set in Galway, which is an Irish city. I think the characters are very Irish in the way that they handle the problems. Religion does come into it. You have the Irish family, who perhaps the parents are a little bit more old-fashioned, kind of going, oh, everything will be okay, and we look after. Sure, it won't be that bad, as everything starts getting worse and worse. And I think the way the characters speak, That kind of there's a lot of kind of gallows humor, which I think is very Irish. It's hard even in very dark circumstances that there's always a joker.
Always a joker.
When you're an
always
Irish
a clown.
person, yeah. So I think
some of this stuff kind of makes me think of some other tropes that you see in other horror as well. Always a joker, always a clown. The stuff. Oh, and Scarface asking about banshees, or I think is it Nucklevy, Nucklevee. I think he's asking for like Irish, I guess, folklore monsters. But is that in the book too?
No, I don't really go into Irish folklore.
Okay.
The zombie master, he does have, standing stones. Practically everywhere in Ireland, there's Neolithic rings of standing stones. So they do play a part in kind of the ceremonies, but I don't go in this. In Seventh Hell series, I don't go into the Irish folklore.
Okay.
In my other writing I do, but
in your other writing you do, because you also write fantasy too, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay. So for Scarface the Strange, definitely this would be a good time, Miss Murphy, for you to plug your other books as well. The ones that are maybe more Irish than I guess 7 Weeks in Hell. I guess have more Irish tones to it. Feel free to.
Well, in my 2 volumes of short stories, I have a lot of stories that deal with periods of Irish history and also with different Irish fantasy creatures. So I have leprechauns, I have the old Irish gods, I have a zombie detective who investigates, somebody, a selkie, her skin has gone missing, he was looking for it. And there's a banshee in another story with him. So definitely check out my books of short stories, which are Zoo of the Dead and Other Horrific Tales, and Return to Hades and Other Adventures. If you're looking for Irish folklore in fantasy and horror settings. And Dead Jimmy, actually, he's my zombie private detective. And he investigates kind of folklore, particularly Irish folklore creatures. I have a novella, will be out, totally dedicated to him next year.
Oh, wow. An Irish, a zombie detective, like, I don't...
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, his soul was stolen and captured in a soul jar, so he is now a zombie. He was a detective before death, and now he's a kind of...
Oh, let me guess.
Unusual creature detective.
He took a job for a dame that he should have turned down, and now she has a soul in a jar. Dang it!
Yeah,
man,
I know it's the same old story. You know it too well.
But it's good though. I love those stories. I love those stories. That's what I like about those, like, I guess, pulp detective stories. Like they're kind of very similar. Like the characters, like you know what they're gonna be, the role they're gonna fulfill. But it's like, I like reading it. I like that stuff. Anyway,
yeah.
So what is, being zombie related, what is well, let me ask you this challenging question. What makes a good, compelling zombie movie or zombie story?
Well, I have to say I do enjoy the guilty pleasure of a zombie story that is just about the gore.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, for me, it has to have a deeper meaning. So the zombies stand in for something.
Right.
Whether they are consumerism or racism or, marginalized people or fear of death or mortality, whatever it is. I think for zombies, but actually with all horror for me, I want it to be about something real.
Something real. Okay.
Yeah, that it casts a light onto something in reality, and it explores it using a zombie or a creature or whatever. But it is exploring a real fear and a real scenario, because to me then it becomes very satisfying that you have the visceral reaction, but you also have the intellectual and the emotional reaction to the story, because it's helping you cope with something that is actually a problem, whether that's, you know, growing old or having kids or becoming an adult or, you know, even darker things, you know, like abuse from somebody.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Like some of the zombie stories I've read that really come to mind about that are with that are the ones that have like a more emotional impact. It's much like a deeper story. Zombies sure are a part of it. They're kind of maybe like the backdrop, or kind of like a like a thing that's there. But it's really about the suffering, or it's about trying to survive. It's about the human connection. It's about the loss, going through loss. Which is something we all experience. It's very human, and the zombies can represent like an impossible enemy that you cannot get rid of, like something you just dread. You try to survive, you try to fight, but there's just no way to really win, but you try as hard as you can. And it's over. It's a fight to survive, you know? Try to win impossible odds, face impossible odds. Yeah, I think that's a good way. Hopefully that helps. I mean, I don't know, anyone in the chat, what makes a good zombie story? Of course, I do agree, Miss Murphy. I do like the gore. I like my cheesy horror movies. I do. I like my cheesy horror.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
And while they answer that, if they want to, we can get into what is your favorite horror movie and why?
Gosh. I hate when people ask me about my favorite anything, because it changes, you know, all the time. I mean, I have I don't know, 10, 20 things that are my favorites, but why they are my favorite kind of changes all the time.
That's fine too. That's also human.
The Thing is probably tonight at this moment. The Thing would be my favorite horror movie, because I love the way.
Yes, that's a good movie.
The original now, the 1981 John Carpenter version now.
Wait, so you mean the original version or the John Carpenter version?
The John Carpenter version.
Okay, yeah.
Not the original 1950.
Yeah. Most people don't even reference that. Isn't that the thing?
Yes, I think you're right. And I used to make jokes about that because it was a plant monster. And I thought that was ridiculous. But the John Carpenter version, I love. But the gore is spectacular in that.
Yes, right?
But is it Rob Bottin's special effects?
I believe so.
Absolutely amazing. But the thing that I really love about that is that it doesn't show itself until it's in the majority. And I think that is the most, because you see that in real life, you know, when there's an undercurrent of fascism or whatever you want to call it. You hear it whispered, you know, you hear people talk about things, and you hear rumors, and you hear things, and you kind of go, sure, that isn't real. And then when it's in the majority, you see it everywhere. And that's the really scary thing about that movie for me, is how you don't know who it is. You don't know who is one of them.
Right.
And then when they are in the majority, they just burst out on the floor and scream at you. You know, it's really...
It was crazy cool. Too in that movie. Like, you know, you could look at them. Okay, you could look at that movie and be like, "Oh, these guys are just driven insane and crazy because of the isolated environment."
Yeah.
But there's a thing that they're going after, right? And that thing plays a component as well. And of course, it takes over bodies. It doesn't want to really show itself. It tries to hide. It tries to survive. And I like all the different ways they try to isolate it, try to figure out who is the thing and who they need to get rid of. You know, the blood test scene is great, you know?
It's amazing, that scene. And the the people who are tied on that couch with the thing,
Yeah.
and you just feel so sorry for them.
Right.
I don't want to be tied to that couch.
I mean, that is a great horror movie too. It's a good mystery because, John Carpenter, he did say that at the end of the movie, one of them at the very last scene was Childs and MacReady. One of them is the thing. One of them is the thing, and he wouldn't. And he still, to this day, John Carpenter hasn't said who it was.
Yeah.
There's speculation on whether or not it's Childs, or speculation on whether or not it's MacReady, and there's people who go into in-depth film analysis and try to explain how it's MacReady because maybe he wasn't really drinking. I don't know. I forgot how he. I didn't go that deep.
Thing between them, where you have, but it's a lovely scene. Whichever of them is the thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to show itself because it's too weakened. It knows it can freeze.
Yeah.
And it'll be okay. And the human is kind of like, oh, I don't care. I'm going to die here. I don't care.
Right. Well, that's what it is. When MacReady hands the booze to Childs, they say that MacReady had gasoline, had fuel in that because he was using them in Molotov cocktails, and that he was. And that was a plan to get Childs to drink it, knowing that it would reveal that he was the thing. But that doesn't make much sense because that's the same bottle that he was drinking out of earlier. But then there's a whole argument that Childs could be the thing because if you look at his breath, he doesn't have any breath, like cold breath coming out. But that is also not true because in the HD version or Blu-ray version, you can kind of see it. But then there's
the breath,
there's an argument about the coat, the color coat that he's wearing.
Yeah.
It's little things, but one of them.
The only thing you can be certain of is that one of them is human.
One of them is human. One of them is a thing. Okay.
Yeah, because if they were both the thing, they wouldn't be hiding.
Right. I think in the comics, because there's a comic series, they extended it, and I think Childs was the thing, I believe. But
that's just.
That's
you
one.
Don't want Kurt Russell to to lose out. I think really. Isn't it?
Kurt Russell was great. I mean, he's fantastic. But in the guy who played Childs is fantastic in that movie too.
He's fantastic. Yeah.
They were great at being rivals. Man, that is a good movie. I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
I love that movie. And even at the beginning when the dog's just walking around and going into all the rooms and it's like who'll it be? It's so. I know in the DVD commentary they talk about how AIDS had kind of just really become a problem and there was always that kind of thing of who has it. But to me, I suppose because always living in that post world, it's more like an idea, because the way ideas can spread, and who's carrying that idea, who isn't actually thinking, who seems to be your friend, but actually they're thinking against you or they're planning against you.
Yeah.
And that you can't kill that. There's always going to be a book or something that'll keep that idea going.
Right. There's something when you mentioned the dog, which by the way, the dog is like one of the best supporting characters. I mean, that dog is great.
Oh yeah.
But something else I didn't realize too, I didn't really think about it, but when the dog was in the kennel, the thing, like, it didn't really start it started like bursting out the dog because the other dogs were aware that dog is not a dog. Yeah. And I guess the thing wasn't smart enough to realize, this isn't really going to affect its chances of survival because like the humans are not going to like really bother it. But because they're just be like stupid dogs or whatever. But it just, because of that pressure, it's like it had been spotted, trying to burst out and go crazy and just infect someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
So it did react, and if it was cornered, it would react very aggressively. And I suppose you see that as well, in the scene where they tried the defibrillators on the body, and it opens up and bites off the arm.
Yeah.
And then
that was a crazy
head drops
scene.
off and scuttles off. Yeah, it's amazing. So when it is threatened, it does react very aggressively.
It does, yeah. It tries to survive. Oh man. Okay. Let's see. Oh, one thing we want to talk about. We mentioned before is Christmas themed horror movies. I mean, we are in December here. What are there Christmas themed horror movies? I mean, there's Krampus.
Yeah, gosh, this is terrible. I should have looked up the name for this. There was I think it was a Norwegian movie, and it had reindeers and a nasty Santa. It was really good.
I know there's a Christmas Horror Story, and then there's Krampus, and then there's Black Christmas. Like
there's Black Christmas,
the original. I mean, I prefer the original, but
and there's one that's very like that, about another one with sorority girls.
I'm not sure. Oh, what is it?
This is terrible. I should have prepared for this. I'm blaming the fact that it's 4 o'clock in the morning for me.
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know.
Gremlins would be Gremlins, Red Christmas.
Gremlins. I love.
What's the one with the snowman? I thought it was
Jack. Was
Jack,
it
Jack Frost? Jack Frost. That's right. Yeah. That was great. If you talk about cheesy horror movies, I mean that right there, that one takes it. I mean you got a snowman. Miss Murphy, you haven't seen that movie, right?
I have seen it, yeah.
Oh no! So you know what happens in the horror movie? You know what happens?
I do. I do.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll say here. I mean, you got
cheesy movies.
You got a crazy snowman just killing people
and
having sex in bathtubs with people, or the showers. That scene was crazy. It's like they just went as far as they could with that movie.
They really did, yeah. I'd block that part out of my mind.
Yeah, I understand why. Oh man.
Horror does that,
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah, as far as Christmas horror movies go, though, I mean, I guess not a whole lot. There's some. I mean, there's like we mentioned, Gremlins. That's a good one. Definitely check that out. There's
what I love about Gremlins is the way that it's based, like on Bedford Falls. For It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like I think it's a good kind of companion piece.
Oh yeah, it is.
That movie.
I didn't think about it that way. Huh. That's good. Okay. Well, let me plug your book again. Let me let you plug your book and your other books too, and then we'll wrap up here. Miss Murphy, take it away.
So if you like your horror with some Irish and a bit of humour, I would recommend 7 Days in Hell and its sequel, 7 Weeks in Hell, which has zombies and black magic and all the good stuff, lots of gore. And if you like more Irish, Celtic folklore and zombie private detectives, then definitely check out my 2 collections of short stories, Zoo of the Dead and Other Horrific Tales, and Return to Heydays and Other Adventures.
Okay. And I'll also throw in a link to, I'll just throw in a link to your website in the chat. That will take care of all of that. There you go. Here's the link to that there, guys. There you go.
And check out my Amazon author page, and you'll find everything about me. And on Twitter, author Iseult. Look at my website.
Look at the time here. I mean, there's so much that we still haven't really gone into, like
really
the inner details of why horror, and also about the feedback about the movies, the books, and the reaction, all that.
Yeah.
Normally go into all that, but we had a pretty good talk. I definitely enjoyed this. Feel free to.
Yeah.
I mean, you pretty much got an invite to come back whenever you want.
Thank you.
Definitely enjoy this. Ladies and gentlemen, we made it this far. Press the like button, share, and subscribe. And you guys. Oh, Aaron, don't worry. We didn't really have a full Xmas movie talk. We were just sort of like thinking up of titles, really, honestly, last minute. We'll have a Xmas movie talk, a detailed one, probably on the week of Christmas, probably.
Very good.
All right. And Krampus was mentioned. All right. Yeah, you guys take it easy. Miss Murphy, thank you so much for coming on, and